How's it going, everyone? I hope you're all doing well. If you think back to when the AirPods were originally released, then you may remember a significant controversy. And if, once again, you think back to when the AirPod Pros were released, you will probably remember another one. Both were around price to performance, both eventually went away. So today, we're going to be taking a look back at the AirPod Pros with, of course, the simple goal of finding out whether or not they are worth your hard-earned cash in 2021. That's what I said originally. All right, so first of all, let's take a look at what we get in the box. In the box, you'll get the AirPod Pros themselves, a USB-C cable, some instructions, and that's pretty much it. Simple, but what else do you really need? I mean, an extra set of in-ear silicone pads would have been nice, but we do need to remember this is Apple we're talking about, so you don't get anything extra for free. And while minimal, I don't really have much of an issue here. Provided you own an iPhone, connection is like magic. Simply hold them by your phone, open the case, click connect, and you're done. This magic is essentially enabled by what Apple have dubbed the H1 chip, which essentially just built on the previous W1 chip, which was already excellent in my opinion, but it essentially means that the connection is a little bit more stable and can reach a bit further while still maintaining that easy connection that made me fall in love with the W1 chip. Okay, but what about when the AirPods are connected? How is the connection then? Well, to be honest, it's pretty terrific. I put these things in and walked around my house. Absolutely no connection issues whatsoever. It was only when I actually left my house and started to walk further out did I notice any issues. Realistically though, most of the time you're going to be using these, your phone is going to be out or in your pocket, so connectivity shouldn't be an issue either way, and otherwise the connectivity is excellent. All right, so now let's talk about two very important things when it comes to earphones: build quality and comfort. In traditional Apple fashion, this is a sleek blend of style and substance with a well-designed, smooth body that can fit easily in your pocket and feels nice and durable. So while I would advise going berserk on these things, the occasional drop won't total your AirPods, which is always nice to know. In terms of comfort, I think this is an area where Apple significantly built on the original AirPods. Now, don't get me wrong, despite being built of plastic, the original AirPods were surprisingly comfortable in my opinion. But with the silicone pads and the true in-ear design, the AirPod Pros are significantly more comfortable. Provided they fit okay, the silicone pad design does mean less hard plastic in contact with your ear, also leading to a snugger fit. And while in my opinion, they're not quite as comfortable as over-ear headphones, I think for most people, especially those who are just used to the standard hard plastic earphones, these will be a treat. Next up, we're going to be covering one of my favorite features about the AirPod Pros, the active noise cancelling. This is awesome. Okay, so I might sound like I'm exaggerating, but when I first tested the noise cancelling of the AirPod Pros, I almost couldn't believe how good they were. The noise cancelling on the AirPod Pros is simply incredible. Some of the best I've heard by far in earphones. And at half volume, which is my usual listening level, with a range of media tested, I couldn't hear a thing. In my opinion, this is very important for both headphones and earphones, but especially earphones. When we're in noisy environments, we do tend to crank the volume in order to compensate for that noise, and especially with something so direct, this really isn't good for our ear health. So having a technology where we can listen at a normal volume but still block out a lot of that sound we don't want to hear, I honestly think should be a priority for buying a pair of earphones. So in this regard, the AirPod Pros thoroughly impressed me. Another thing that I wasn't really expecting to enjoy but very much did was the transparency mode. In a nutshell, this means that people's talking becomes very easy to hear, and again, I rarely found myself having to adjust the volume. Now, on louder or busier songs, I would occasionally have to bump down the volume 1 or 2 taps, but the difference is without a doubt night and day. And while if somebody wants to talk to me, I will just take my earphones out, but I can still see a use for these. For example, if you're waiting for a train and you need to hear the voice on the PA system, but of course you still want to listen to some music, I can honestly see this being a very useful feature in a situation like this. There are 2 ways of controlling the noise cancelling, one being with the phone's interface, which is the one I use most of the time, but you can also change through the modes using a press and hold action on the AirPods themselves, which I always like to see, whether it be headphones or earphones. Having a secondary interaction method is incredibly appreciated, especially if you don't want to go digging through your pockets or your bag to find your phone. And while it may sound a little bit trivial, I find myself using these quite a lot. There are also some other actions you can do with these AirPod Pros. I know 1 tap is to pause your music, 2 taps is to skip forward, and 3 taps to skip backwards, so it is nice to get a little bit more use out of that secondary interaction method. And overall, I think the active noise cancelling is awesome. Following on from this, we have the actual sound quality, and to be honest, it's pretty damn impressive. I have used some good quality earphones before, however, up until this point, I have mostly preferred headphones. Because of the extra quality and comfort provided, I personally do find the extra heft to be worth it. And while in a lot of cases, I do still prefer this, I mean, I'm literally wearing my Status Audio CB ones as I record this voiceover, as well as my trusty Beats Studio 3s for casual listening. I think in a lot of situations, especially if you do prefer a slightly lighter everyday carry, swapping out headphones for earphones just makes sense in a lot of situations. And honestly, in everyday life, I could totally get by with the AirPod Pros. Bass sounds nice and rich without being overpowering and boomy. Mids are overall pretty nice, with some nice thickness and clarity, unfortunately lacking a little bit of that sparkle you might hear in higher end headphones. But to be honest, seeing as they're earphones, I wasn't really expecting that. And in the high end, you do get a nice bit of detail and air without it sounding overly harsh and crispy, which is not good for earphones. So overall, I think the sound quality is pretty good. That said though, these obviously aren't going to be as transparent or frankly good quality as proper studio headphones or studio monitors, but I think for the average listener who wants good quality but doesn't necessarily need studio quality, the AirPod Pros are certainly going to fit the bill. Other nice features include spatial audio, which I tested out a few times. This is essentially surround sound for those of you who haven't had to become familiar with stupid jargon. And while in a real world situation, I didn't find myself using it all that much, seeing as I mostly used these to listen to music. If you like watching films with earphones in and you just want that extra little bit of immersion, I do think this will be a pretty cool feature for you. Alright, so finally, we're going to be talking about the battery life. Battery life is decent enough, clocking in at around 5 hours of listening time. However, it's important to remember that obviously the AirPod Pros do come with a charging case, so when they do eventually run out of battery, you can simply slot your AirPods back into the case and get another 5 hours of charge. In fact, according to Apple, you can actually do this for 24 hours of listening time. Don't get me wrong, I haven't meticulously stress tested this. I've only used the AirPod Pros as a normal person would, but overall, I have found the battery life to be very impressive. And as someone who's been using wireless headphones for a pretty long time now, I rarely find myself in situations where I'm running out of charge. Most of the time, after a few weeks with wireless headphones, most nights you'll just remember to plug them in like you will with most other technology. So yeah, once you get into the habit of plugging in your AirPods case every evening, I don't see these running out of charge at any unexpected moment. Okay, so overall, what are my thoughts on the AirPod Pros? Well, honestly, I think these are some of the best wireless headphones I've ever use. But don't let that distract you from the fact that these are pretty expensive, and for a lot of people, the price really won't justify the quality. However, if you wanted a nice pair of earphones for a pretty long time now, and you are willing to put the money down on these, then honestly, I think it's going to be pretty hard to go wrong with these. I mean, the noise cancelling is pretty incredible, sound quality is great, having a charging case is nice, and overall, if you have an iPhone, I think these will be a pretty good choice. Alright guys, so that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this one. I'm sorry about my throat. It's not been great today. Let me know, by the way, what do you think of the AirPod Pros? Feel free to leave me a comment. I always enjoy reading those. As for now, as always, thank you for watching. Remember to like the video if you want to see more content like this, and smash that subscribe button. I'm done for now, and I will see you guys in the next one.